All right. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started here. So hi, everybody. Thanks for being on with us today. Today we have Stacy, is it Seslowski? How do I say that?
Yes.
Okay. Who's going to be sharing with us how to stay nourished for the holidays. So Stacy has been a registered dietitian for over 20 years. She's a lifelong New Yorker who moved to Florida just a few years ago. When her husband was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition called Graves' disease, Stacy returned to school to earn a master's degree in human nutrition and functional medicine. Stacy seeks to discover the underlying cause for imbalance. She uses individualized food and lifestyle modifications to help people achieve optimal health and improve quality of life. It is Stacy's mission to help people who suffer from immune, metabolic, hormonal, gastrointestinal, cardiac, and neurological imbalance experience the true healing power food. From her perspective, we sometimes eat healthier during the holidays than any other time throughout the year. We cook food from scratch, which means we are consuming whole and processed foods. We eat foods that may not be part of our normal routine, which means we are diversifying our diet and feeding our bodies with nutrients we may not sufficiently consume outside of the holidays. And we connect with family and loved ones, and we take time to set aside time for people we are connecting with. During this talk, Stacy will expand on these topics and give specific recommendations on how to optimize your nutrition and health during the holidays. So Stacy, thanks so much for being on with us today. We're very excited to hear this. And at the end of this, we'll go ahead and go through some questions, but if you want to go ahead and take it away for now, and we're just going to sit back and listen.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here today. And I am excited to talk about this topic because I find that we really can eat healthier during the holidays, but there are specific things that we can keep in mind to really optimize that and just enjoy our holidays and make the best of everything. So I'm going to share my screen and then just let me know if you can see my slides.
You are all good. We can see it.
Okay, awesome. And then it should just come up as a first slide right here. There we go.
Looks beautiful.
Thank you. Perfect. Okay, so staying nourished through the holidays. We are going to talk about why holidays are nourishing from several different standpoints. How healthy eating is, what I even actually describe as healthy eating, and how we can make the holidays the best time of year for us and our health. What is healthy eating? Some tips and tricks, and then I'm also going to dip into mental health for the holidays, which I think we could also focus on a little bit. So holidays really are nourishing because it is a time for us to rest and recharge. We sometimes take off a little bit of time from work, and we can kind of take out some of the stress that we experience throughout the rest of the year. We spend time with loved ones, so reconnect and feel gratitude. So we thank, we kind of focus on spirituality a little bit, and we feel gratitude for people in our lives and aspects of our lives that we are thankful for, and food especially. And then we can also eat foods that are nutrient dense, nutrient diverse, and high quality. And I'm going to talk about exactly what I mean by all of those things. But every one of these things listed on this slide are things that absolutely impact our health. And if only we can continue these behaviors throughout the rest of the year, I think we would all be just a little bit healthier, because, we need to give ourselves rest and self-compassion. We need to spend time with, loved ones and socialize and just not be isolated. We need to feel gratitude, and we need to eat healthy. And I think if we can have all of those things in our lives all the time, then we would be a pretty healthy population of people. So what I mean by nutrient density is that in every single bite of food that we eat, we should be getting some type of nutrient that can improve our health, or a vitamin or mineral, a protein or a fatty acid that our body can use for the healthy processes that take place, throughout our bodies. And it's really when we start wasting eating opportunities opportunities on food that lacks nutrition is when we start to get in trouble. So when we think about eating things like sugar or white flour or some processed refined oils and things that really don't have any vitamin, mineral, protein, or fatty acid that is good for us and that helps a function in our body, then that's when we're really going to get into some periods of time of being less healthy, because our body doesn't know what to do with those foods. Our body doesn't really know what to do with sugar and white flour. All of those things kind of just get stored as added fatty tissue in our body, or they trigger a problem with regulating blood sugar or some insulin resistance. But when we give our body foods that contain those vitamins and minerals and proteins and fatty acids, then our cells know exactly what to do with those things. And this is why I don't worry about counting calories, and I don't worry about how many grams of fat does a certain food have, or how many grams of carbohydrates? Because if those foods are full of vitamins and minerals and healthy protein and fat, then our body knows exactly what to do with those nutrients. It will use those nutrients for the healthy processes that need to take place, and they don't necessarily just get stored as added fat and fatty tissue on our bodies. So nutrient density is really just taking every eating opportunity to give your body the nutrients that it needs. Nutrient diversity is getting all the different nutrients that your body needs. So every color, so every vegetable of a different color, the colors represent different vitamins and minerals. And so if we get stuck sort of eating the same color foods all the time, we could possibly create a nutrient deficiency in some of the nutrients that we are not including in our diets. So one of the great things about the holidays is we do start to eat things that sometimes we don't normally eat during our normal daily routine the rest of the year. So we are adding back some of the nutrients that our body sometimes doesn't get. And, nutrient deficiencies are a very impactful way to create imbalances in our body. When we aren't getting the nutrients that we need, it really does trigger problems and imbalances. So it's very important to every day try to change up the different colors that you're eating. Go to the grocery store and pick a different color vegetable or fruit that you don't normally get, to make sure that you aren't creating any nutrient deficiencies in your body. By high quality, I mean foods that are either organic, or when you're talking about red meat, meat that you're talking about grass-fed and grass-finished. When you're talking about poultry, it should be pasture-raised and cage-free and organic. But all those words, that terms that really do describe better sources of food. So I realize that those sometimes create some budget problems, because unfortunately it is more expensive and costly to choose those types of foods. However, there are some tips and tricks to consider there. For example, you can visit a website that is spelled ewg.org, and you can look for the Dirty Dozen and Clean 15 list, which really does tell you which fruits and vegetables you're best off purchasing organic, and which maybe are not so necessary to purchase organic, because maybe they have thicker skin and they don't really absorb pesticides as much. So that's one helpful tip. And then another is, when you're looking at grass-fed and grass-finished animal sources of protein, it's okay to choose the less expensive cuts of meat. So like the steak tips and the ground meat and things like that, to really try to reduce the cost a little bit. But choosing the grass-fed and grass-finished is really a helpful way to improve your health. And the reason is because when animals are treated well and fed well, they are going to be packed with the anti-inflammatory omega-3 fatty acids. And when animals are caged and stressed and not being fed well, they are packed with the inflammatory omega-6 fatty acids. So that's really the difference between those sources of meat, and it is helpful to choose the better quality. And then finally, eating mindfully. This is something else that we do on the holidays more often, is we eat a little slower, and we really do pay attention to the taste of our food and the deliciousness and the love that was put into creating those recipes, that we've had in our families for years sometimes. But we do enjoy our food and eat more mindfully. And that is so important, because when we are eating in a hurry throughout the rest of the year with our to-do list on our mind, and while we're on the go, running from one place to another or working at the same time that we're eating, we do not trigger our vagus nerve, which is the nerve that goes from our brain to our gut, and it tells our brain to move food in the downward direction. So if you are feeling always bloated or having problems with indigestion, oftentimes it's because we aren't stimulating the vagus nerve when we're eating. So it's very helpful to eat slowly and in a calm state of mind, and mindfully enjoying your food and having that good stimulation of the vagus nerve when we eat. So what is healthy eating? Healthy eating is choosing foods that are whole and unprocessed. This means that when you're walking around the perimeter of the supermarket and you see foods that in the store look the way they looked when they came out of nature. So no weird ingredients have been added to the food to make them last longer on the shelf or be conveniently cooked or something like that. Or foods where ingredients have been taken out. So white flour is an example of that, because white flour did not look the way it does in the store when it was taken out of nature. It had fibrous parts to the grain that had to be taken out in order for that food to become white flour. So when a food has been changed so much from the time it's been in nature to the time you're eating it, then your gut and your immune system may not recognize it. And that means your immune system is going to be triggered, and that is called inflammation. So we hear the word inflammation all the time, but what really it means is that it is a trigger to your immune system. And we do not want your immune system to be triggered by food. We want your immune system to be triggered by germs and viruses and pollutants in the air to clear those things out of our bodies. But we don't want inflammation just from food or other things like lack of sleep or nutrient deficiencies or stress. So let's get rid of those unnecessary sources of inflammation and really give our body just the vitamins, minerals, proteins, and fatty acids that are going to be used for healthy processes in the body. What I consider is an optimal plate construction is exactly what you see there on the right. So half of your plate being covered by fruits and vegetables, quarter of your plate being covered by protein, a quarter of your plate being covered by resistant starch, which is the starch that feed the good bacteria in your gut. So things like rice, potatoes, beans, quinoa, oatmeal, banana, squash are some good examples. And then of course you see there's healthy fat there in the fatty fish, but nuts and seeds and avocado, some other good examples for really healthy fats. Try to get in a lot of fiber, so 30 to 40 grams of fiber per day. And that comes from your fruits and your vegetables, your nuts and your seeds. And again, that's going to feed the good gut bacteria, which are responsible for our health in every aspect. They are responsible for our mood, our digestion, our immune system. So feeding the gut bacteria is very important to your overall health. Try to avoid naked carbs. And so what I mean by that is when you're eating a carbohydrate in the middle of the day on an empty stomach, it spikes your blood sugar. And I'm talking about fruit too. So fruits are carbohydrates and they're healthy for you, but these things, when you're eating them on an empty stomach, they spike your blood sugar, they trigger an insulin response, and we don't necessarily want that to happen several times throughout the day. So try to combine your carbohydrates with fat or protein. So when you're eating a banana, add some nut butter. When you're eating a piece of toast, add some avocado. So really trying to combine your carbs with other sources of food like fats and protein is very, very healthy for you. And of course, eat mindfully. That I already talked about. Stimulating your vagus nerve, putting yourself in a mindset of calm when you're eating is very important. So what can you think about avoiding throughout the holidays? Sugar, like I said before, it's an empty calorie. It's a waste of an eating opportunity, and it spikes your blood sugar. It doesn't really give your body anything that it needs. And that means that it is possible you will trigger some inflammation from eating sugar. Potato chips and other processed foods, those are some other examples of things that just are lacking in nutrition that we would want to avoid. But some great ideas here is you can replace sugar with things like maple syrup and honey and what's another one? Dates and date syrup. There's great options to replace sugar in your healthy desserts and things. So there's ways to create delicious foods, but just trying to avoid these empty calories that you find in sugar. Please don't fast. So don't go to your holiday dinners starving. Eat throughout the day. Wake up in the morning and eat a really healthy, protein-rich diet or meal so that when you get to your holiday party, you're not ravenous and you won't make impulsive decisions, and you can choose a little bit more intentionally what you're going to eat, and try to create those plate construction that I just described on that last slide, because you will have options like that at all of your holiday meals. A way to add your half a plate fruits and vegetables, 25% protein, 25% resistant starch, and some healthy fats. And try to avoid being sedentary. So get moving throughout the day. You can even plan activities with your family or friends or whoever you're spending the holidays with to try to keep moving and being active during those days. So some of these I already mentioned. Sugar alternatives like maple syrup, honey, dates, date syrup are great options to be used in your dessert recipes too. Other healthy alternatives, you can find options for dairy-free cheeses, some alternatives to white flour like almond flour or coconut flour. So think about what you're eating, and does this food I'm eating contain some good nutrient-dense options? Soy and corn are other examples of foods that don't contain too much healthy nutrition, and sometimes they trigger a bit of inflammation in some people. Saturated fat and refined oils are things you might want to try to avoid and find replacements for. Something I do recommend to people is bring dessert with you when you go to your holiday parties, because oftentimes the meal itself is pretty healthy. You can find a protein and a fat and vegetables and fruit sometimes, but where you kind of can slip up is when the dessert is served. So bring your own dessert. That's something that has the maple syrup or honey instead of sugar, something that has almond flour instead of white flour, something that contains eggs and even cacao, chocolate, and nut butter and nuts are all great options to add to your dessert. So bring dessert when you're going to socialize at these holiday parties. Don't go hungry. I mentioned that already. Plan activities and move throughout the day so that you're not sedentary. set your day up for success with like a morning routine that includes you stepping outside and seeing the sun and putting your feet on the ground. And also, I didn't write this there, but having a really nutrient dense, high protein breakfast is very, very helpful so that you don't feel like you're chasing calories throughout the rest of the day. And you're really going to have better energy lasting you through the day. And all of those suggestions will also help you sleep better at night, which is sleep is hugely important to our overall health, reducing inflammation so that we are really staying healthy long term. Meditate. Sometimes holidays can be stressful. This is a time of the year where you may be seeing people that you don't normally see and having conversations that make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, and clearing your mind every day, giving yourself these moments that are dedicated to just clearing your mind and not focusing on your stress is very, very important to our health. We are learning, there's research to show that daily meditation has significant benefits on our long-term health. Remember to stimulate your vagus nerve around all your meal times. So not only while you're at your holiday meals, but even on your own time when you're eating your meals throughout the day. Make sure to do some breathing strategies before you eat, making sure your mind is in a clear state and you're focused on your food and not worried about your to-do list and all that, to stimulate your vagus nerve so that you have healthy rest and digestion. And then obtain at least 7 hours of sleep every night. So here are some strategies for that vagus nerve stimulation that I mentioned. Humming is a great way to stimulate the vagus nerve. You might even try this when you're having trouble sleeping at night, because when you hum, it stimulates that nerve that is responsible for putting us to rest. So try that. Gargling can help, singing and chanting. And there's even a possibility that you can use something called a TENS device, which I could always give more instructions on that if you're interested to learn, but that's another way. Some chiropractors do use that on muscle pains and aches, and I actually use it to stimulate the vagus nerve. So really focusing on our mental health, there are some really fun things you can do, like laughing and yoga and movement, learning, engaging in a new hobby, thinking about dancing and singing and music, and really try to remember that this is a time that we do want to enjoy and bring happiness to our lives. And, think about trying something new maybe that you haven't tried and making that a habit that you can continue throughout the rest of the year. So what comes first, your physical or your mental health? And I love this saying here, we don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing. So what you believe is what you will experience. And we create our experiences with our perspective and how we are seeing things. So try to enjoy the holidays, see them as the positive days of the year that they are, and create your own experience. So just in summary, to nourish your body throughout the holidays, choose whole, unprocessed foods, those foods that look in the store the way they look when they came out of nature. Avoid inflammatory foods or foods that lack nutrients like sugar and saturated fats. Increase your fiber, increase your fruits and vegetables, choose healthy fats. So these are things like the fatty fish, nuts, seeds, avocados. Those are especially healthy for you. Choosing healthy cooking methods is also important. So when you cook foods that are slowly and moist, then they aren't going to get charred and they aren't going to burn and they aren't going to have some of those compounds that are created during dry, short, high temperature cooking. So slow and moist cooking is beneficial. And avoid snacking. I actually think it's okay to snack here and there, but really make sure that you're combining those carbohydrates. So you aren't eating a fruit by itself on an empty stomach, but rather that you're combining it with fats and protein so that you aren't spiking your blood sugar and controlling insulin a little bit better and reducing inflammation. So here's just a quick little slide to give you where you can find me. There's my email address, stacy@healfromfood.com. There's my website. I have a YouTube channel and a podcast called The Power of Food Podcast, which is available wherever podcasts are being listened to. And there's my name and my title. So I will stop sharing.
Awesome, Stacy. Yeah, you got it.
Pause share. There we go.
Okay. Wow, that was an awesome amount of information. I really enjoyed that. I especially love the picture you paint of like those, you're not really having to give up anything, you're just adding more, like the better quality food, the better nutrient density, like you're still taking part in all those things, you're just adding more. So like at the end of like Thanksgiving, because I always think this when I was a kid, like I didn't like Thanksgiving because you like eat all this food and then you feel sick for the rest of the night. So like why not eat like good foods, enjoy celebrating, and then be able to play games or go for a walk or something with your family.
Exactly.
I love that. This is beautiful, and I'm excited for us to continue to share this with our members. We'll also go ahead and send out all of your information that you listed there at the end to our members in our follow-up emails. That way they can contact you or listen to your podcast and stuff.
Absolutely.
I do have a few questions for you.
Sure.
Okay. So the first one is how to help with nutrient diversity if there is a picky eater in your family. I relate. Yes. My husband.
So a lot of times it's about the person, involving the person in the food shopping and the cooking, and like allowing them to be creative too. So like going to the store together and telling them, can you just pick a color that you don't usually eat, and we will figure out a delicious recipe for this. Sometimes you do have to hide the food in delicious things like muffins and cookies and trick them a little bit. But oftentimes when they're involved, and also explaining to them like, what is this food going to do for you to help you feel. Oftentimes with picky eaters, they have some symptoms. They have like some bloating, or maybe they aren't having regular bowel movements. There sometimes if their diet is not really, really healthy, they're probably feeling something, because when your body isn't getting what it needs, then it's going to show you. And we need to really pay attention to those signs and symptoms. So you might just highlight to them like, oh, that headache you say that you get, every other week, or, that stomach feeling that you have when you can't digest your food. This can really benefit you by improving the fiber in your diet, or choosing a nutrient that you don't normally get, and ask them if they're willing to experiment with just a couple of weeks where they are eating those foods to see how it makes them feel. And usually when they feel better, they're more on board and motivated to continue. So involving them, I think, is helpful. I think explaining to them why and what this is going to do for them, and then hiding it in some great recipes can also help.
I love that. That's awesome. I love every single one of those answers. Okay, next question. Oh, this one's a bit more of just like a fun, light one. What's your favorite holiday dish based on nutrient density?
Oh, wow, that is a good one. Let's see. I do love Thanksgiving. So if I had to pick any holiday in particular, it would probably be Thanksgiving. And I think, actually what some people might consider is less than healthy, and I feel like it could be the best option for nutrient density, is something like Thanksgiving stuffing, because you can put fruit, you can put a really healthy fat in there. You can put protein in there. It can have like literally everything that you need all in this one recipe. So that might be a great option for the most nutrient dense food.
Okay, that's really fun. I've never thought of like fruit and stuffing, but I'm gonna have to think on that one because I think I would really enjoy that. That sounds really good.
Yes. Yeah, like cranberries or even like some other dried fruit or apples. Apples and onions together is a great combination if you ever saute those two together. Another thing I love to add to almost everything is dates. And by the way, dates are super healthy for you. They help your bones, your hormones, your gut for digestion, and your mood, because if they're impacting your hormones, they're impacting your mood, as well as if they're impacting your gut, they're impacting your mood. So dates are especially healthy.
That's awesome. That's great. I love that tip. Okay, next question. What is a good way to get out of a funk of eating the same foods over and over again? I think maybe like you're just like kind of maybe being uncreative, or you're kind of trapped in like where do you add those other foods in?
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's so hard. It happens to everyone because we get into like we have our favorites and we get used to the routine and the ease of making something we're familiar with, and who has the extra time or the effort that you want to put into finding recipes to some new ingredients. But I really think the best thing to do is go to that supermarket and just randomly choose the funniest looking fruits and vegetables that you can find. One thing that I like to explain about vegetables in particular is there's not even like you can basically cook every single vegetable the same exact way. So I'll prioritize my vegetable cooking on the weekends because that to me is the biggest pain in the neck to cook during the week. And you'll easily be able to make like a piece of chicken or a burger or some protein and easily be able to make like a thing of rice. But who wants to really sit and like chop a whole thing of vegetables and season
Yeah.
them and cook them throughout the week? So I prioritize vegetable cooking on the weekend. And really, what you can do is no matter what that vegetable looks like, you can figure out how to chop it, put it on a tray with like some avocado oil, some lots of seasoning, so salt and pepper and garlic and onion powder and oregano and paprika, and then add like a little balsamic vinegar and a little mustard and even some, I like to use coconut aminos, which is a
Yeah.
replacement for soy sauce. Those three like sauces and all the seasonings and avocado oil, and you can have a combination of potatoes, squash, broccoli, Brussels sprouts. Like it doesn't matter what the vegetable is, they will all taste good when you roast them for about 45 minutes or an hour with that combination of seasonings and stuff on top of it. So just really try to pick something new from the supermarket.
I love that. And that sounds delicious. You're making me hungry. That's a really good idea to kind of cook them all together because I agree. It's like that the hard thing is like making time for that and like those things and like finding different ways. So I love that. Just a couple more here. What is one change you would make today as you move into a more nourishing food mindset? I think maybe more like a first step or something.
Yeah. So I think the thing that I see most commonly with everybody that I meet is that they're stressed and they are eating in that. That's why I really emphasized that vagus nerve stimulation, because if we don't become aware of how much stress is impacting our health, it's a real big problem. If we can really just eat mindfully. So if you feel like you're stressed out when you're about to eat, don't eat. Like remove yourself from this room, do some breathing strategies, listen to music, hum, or do something that's going to clear your mind and eat slowly and really enjoy your food. Because it's even if it's for that 10 minutes that we're eating, it's really an opportunity for us to unwind and de-stress, stimulate the vagus nerve, and allow for healthy digestion. I find that to be a really common problem with a lot of people I'm meeting.
And I think probably a lot of people probably struggle with that. I think of all the times they like make a meal and then I'm trying to get through it while I'm trying to feed my infant son and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
totally.
I
Yeah.
love it. Okay, last question. How to navigate eating differently when your family is critical of you? Like saying you're never fun, you never join in with us.
Gosh, that is a hard one. I would sometimes we really just have to like think, I don't care what they think. Like, I just don't care what they think. I'm here because I want to keep myself healthy. And at the end of the day, you're going to be the one feeling good and having energy the next day and being able to sleep better at night. And they're going to be bloated and uncomfortable. So, I mean, sometimes, like, instead of just fighting them and just let them think what they want, and we have to think what we want. And I wouldn't change the way that I'm eating because of their thought process. Like, that is them, that is their insecurity, that is like their issue. And, we got to do what we got to do for ourselves.
I love that. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Stacey. Do you want to remind our listeners one more time where they can find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So my website is healfromfood.com, HEALFROMFOOD.com. And I offer single, meetings as well as group just counseling options. I also have my YouTube channel, so it's also Heal From Food. I have my podcast, which is the Power of Food podcast, and my email address is stacy@healfromfood.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Stacey. This has been awesome, and we really enjoyed having you on. And thank you, everyone, for listening. We're going to go ahead, and our next talk is going to be by Hallie. We're going to go ahead and be doing a workshop on January 19th. If you'd like to come to that as well, I think that one's going to be free. So if you have anyone you want to send our way, I'll send you that information as well, Stacey, if you want to send that to any of your people. But we'll go ahead and wrap this up here. And once again, Stacey, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk with you later.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. Bye-bye.